Do you know what the third person in most relationships is today? It's not your mother-in-law. It's not your best friend's best friend. It's not your boss. It's this. Yes, the little device that you carry everywhere could be the biggest reason that you feel unheard, unseen, and muted in your relationships. Welcome back to my channel, Unmute with Priya. I'm your host, Priya, and I help women 40 plus who are in perimenopause, menopause, unmute and find their voice in relationships, to set boundaries, create deeper connections. And today we're talking about something that seems really innocent, but it's silently killing intimacy, friendships, and your voice. The phone. So I want to talk about why your phone is such a problem, and I'll relate this back to a little bit of my experience with the phone. Research shows that the average person checks their phones 96 times a day. 96. That's once every 10 minutes. Imagine when you're in relationship with someone. That's a deep, intimate relationship. It could be a friendship. It could be at work. And that person disappears into a screen every few minutes. So couples who report high phubbing, now phubbing is phone snubbing, feel less satisfied and more disconnected in their relationships. And that was my experience. The phone was there were a lot of other issues in this relationship that I often talk about on this channel, but the phone was one of the biggest ones. And I didn't have a voice over that. So many times that phone came in the way of everything. I took this person out to a nice restaurant to celebrate their birthday. And this person sitting in front of me, scrolling, showing me images on Facebook. We drive somewhere, and it was a time where we could talk about different things, get to know each other. They were on their phones scrolling. We would be together, whether it was in my home or their home, and trying to watch a movie, have a date night. Ding! The phone went off. Boom. I lost them to their phone. Now, I'm not saying I wasn't guilty of this either. When you look at what a phone does and those signals and the sounds, it's like a dopamine hit. It immediately, when you get those sounds or your phone lights up, it's our dopamine, it's our brain that has been wired to say, oh, I need to get that right away. I've turned off all notifications on my phone just so that I'm not going for it every few minutes. Yes, like I said, I was guilty of it too. And with this, in society today, everybody has smartphones. It happens with everyone. But when does it become toxic? Now, in my instance, I had nothing to hide from my phone. So I could easily have gone to the bathroom. My phone was out on the counter. Somebody would have texted. If that other person saw my phone, it's okay. There was nothing to hide. But this person, on the other hand, took their phone with them wherever they went, to the bathroom. I heard alerts going on at night. They were saying, oh, it was one of their apps. There were constant texts coming through. The issue with that was when, my gut started to tell me something's off. And maybe they would show me their phone, but they'd slant it. And then maybe on occasion, my eyes caught a heart emoji. Who's sending heart emojis? And then the biggest red flag was when they were showing the phone to their friends, and their friends were saying, oh, does Priya see this? And that person said, oh, absolutely not. I don't show her my phone. When I started to bring this up and say, this is wrong, it was turned around on me that I am invading privacy. And no, this should not happen. This is crossing of boundaries. But really what was happening was that person was hiding the truth from me, because what I found out later after the fact is there was pictures of this person at a porn convention. I was at home making a surprise for that person upon their return. I was taking care of things in their house, and they were at a porn convention. So they were shutting down my voice and expressing that the way that they were using their phone was making me uncomfortable. Now, as women, especially in cultures where we're expected to be good, we talk about on this channel being the good girl, being patient, don't nag. How many times have you heard that? We often don't speak up when we feel ignored or when we feel like that phone is getting in the way or technology is getting in the way of our friendships or our relationship. Or we might say and try and talk ourselves out of it. Oh, he's just checking something quickly, or she's just checking something quickly. But over time, that small habit definitely makes you feel invisible. And it's part of the gaslighting cycle. Your gut is telling you, hey, something's off here. I know something is off because my eyes saw something that, why are you getting that kind of text? The person is telling you, it's in your head. Stop. You're invading my privacy. We don't have to do this. I never did this with any other person. And you start to think that you're going crazy. Now, I talk about this person who was in my life who would sit next to me and just scroll through Instagram, scroll through Facebook at times where I thought it was about our connection and a date night, like I said, they were scrolling through and then trying to justify what they were scrolling through. Later on, after the relationship ended, I was, of course, I did a little bit of Facebook, Instagram stalking, and I saw the things that were being posted, that were being commented on when it was my birthday, when it was anniversaries, when it was Christmas, at times that I had told myself were special for us. So this is where it creates a rupture in trust. And phones are the biggest creators of ruptures in trust in relationships. Phones aren't just devices. They represent avoiding discomfort. Sometimes we grab our phones when a conversation feels hard. How many times have you tried to have a conversation with someone? First thing they do is, grab my phone. They start scrolling or pretending to scroll. It's a way to disconnect from yourself. We're not even present with ourselves. So how can we be present with others? It's also a representation of unspoken resentment. When we don't speak up, we silently resent, and resentment is the real relationship killer. I can't believe how resentful I became because of that stupid phone. And what I started to do on the other end, well, if you're going on your phone all the time, I started online shopping. Athleta became my favorite thing. I would buy stuff because it was my way of coping with the discomfort and with the dismissal of this phone that was taking over. Now, that phone wasn't always there. It started to show up later. And I believe that it probably was always there. Just I didn't see it. And as I started to unmute, as I started to speak up about, hey, this is just not jiving. Like, who's texting you? Who's dinging you? What is this going on? That started to create more resentment in the relationship, especially from my end. So let's talk about some signs that your phone's hurting your relationship. You and your friends or your partner talk less and scroll more, right? Or that you're out to getting together with a friend for the first time in months and you're hardly even talking. You're both on your phones. How many times do you decide to get together with a friend for dinner? And the first thing you do when you sit at the table is not, hey, how are you? How have you been? Tell me what's going on in your life. You're both taking out your phones on the table. Or the waiter, the waitress comes and takes your order. Boom, they leave. Let's take out our phone. You also feel like you're competing with a screen for attention. Arguments always about being on your phone. And you're feeling less emotionally connected or even less intimate. And that ding on the phone starts to really irritate the heck out of you because you're just like, here it goes again. Now, let's talk about how to get your voice back, right? We can't demand presence if we're not giving it. Notice when you reach for your phone during conversations. Like I said, I started to become an online shopper because that was my way of coping with this other person being on their phone all the time. So I wasn't always present. I was also, as I started to become more, in tune with my own habit and started to think, all right, let me put my phone away. Let me put it on the counter far away from me. That's going to model this kind of behavior. It didn't change it. that other person was still scrolling at any time and taking that phone with them to the bathroom, taking that phone anywhere. You would never see it out on the counter because God forbid I were to see something on that phone. Speak up with clarity and not criticism. Instead of saying, you're always on your phone, try, when we're together, I love feeling your full attention. Can we put our phones away for 30 minutes? Having that established time where you both have commitments is really important. Now, you can establish that with your partner and saying, hey, let's do this every day from a certain time to a certain time. We're not going to use our phones, or maybe it's going to be once a week, or depending on how often you're connecting with this person. If that person is resistant to it, you're going to get snark. You're going to get sarcasm, which is what I got. You're going to get resistance. And that's not a reflection on you. You spoke up, and be proud of yourself for that. That's more of a reflection on the other person. And it's definitely a time to question, is this person really needed in your life? Like I said, create phone-free zones or times, dinner table, bedroom, maybe in the first hour in the morning, last hour before bed. Maybe you're watching TV together every night, phones are on the table. And maybe even having a conversation about your phone, about the text. If you're in close partnership, close friendship, you should be able to share. You're not hiding anything. And if you are hiding, I really ask you to question, why are you in this relationship? Why are you hiding something? Probably creating a dynamic where one person feels muted and the other person is feeling in control. Let's even talk about it at work. Silence your phone. At work, sometimes I'm there, everybody's coming to the staff meeting with their phones and you hear ding, ding, ding. And that leads you to a place especially if you're facilitating a meeting, to sit back and just kind of go into parent mode, like, okay, I'm not going to talk until everybody puts their phones away. And so you have to establish rules about the phone and silencing it during meetings, or how to use your phone, especially in workplaces, and coming up with some ground rules around that. And that's something that you can work with your administration on establishing for the team. Replace the screen time with connection rituals. I love connection rituals, like walking together after dinner, daily check-in, a 10-minute daily check-in without devices. And the right person is going to match this kind of ritual and appreciate that you're trying to create this connection ritual. They won't mock you for it. They won't do it out of resentment or create a resentment when they're not with you, that you took away their phone time, like a child, you're taking away their screen time. When you voice your needs instead of burying them, you teach people how to love you. Friends, family, work, any situation. You set a standard that says my presence matters. And guess what? That's how you unmute. So your phone isn't the enemy. Phones are technology today is so amazing. We can do so many things, connect with people all over the world, hire somebody in seconds that we need help with in another country. It is a vital part of how we live today. But it also is a big destroyer of relationships, especially when it's not used in integrity with the person that you're with. Your phone isn't the enemy. The silence is. The lying is. Every time you feel disconnected, ask yourself, am I going to scroll or am I going to speak? And that choice changes everything. So if this resonated with you, share it with a friend who needs a reminder. And I'll talk to a friend about it, that if they're in a relationship and they feel like their partner is hiding something from them in their phone, and they try to bring it up and now that person is shutting them down and that phone never leaves their side, talk to them about, hey, maybe there's some ground rules. Start speaking up about it. And you can be that supportive person for them. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this channel. My past episodes have been focused on Asian Indian women navigating through life especially at perimenopause and menopause. And if you click on the links, go to www.unmutewithpriya.com and you can grab my free training, 4 Steps to Finding Your Voice in Relationships. And for a limited time, apply for a free 20-minute coaching call with me. You can also apply for my upcoming retreat, Paradise Within. That's going to be September 26th through the 28th in Gallup, New Mexico. And see you next episode.